Good afternoon, happy Tuesday. I'm Clint Wallace, Matt and McNamara here with our weekly Facebook Live broadcast. Today we've got a couple things to talk about. Importantly, the National Transportation Safety Board issued their guidelines of their most wanted list of ways we can make transportation across the country safer. I want to get to those. We've invited viewers to post ways that they think are laws that they think should be changed to make things safer. We've got a few comments there that Matt wants to talk about, so if you're watching now and you know a law that you think should be changed to make things safer, comment on it so that way we can talk about it today. But before we start, I want to give a shout out to my youngest son, Cade. He turned 5 on Sunday. We had a birthday party, dinosaur themed with a meteorite crashing the volcano, and a lot of little kids running around getting sugar, having a good time. So, Cade, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Cade.
All right, so the National Transportation Safety Board, let's start with what is that? It's a government investigative agency. Anytime that there's a fatality in any mode of transit in America, whether it be on the highways, the roads, or the railways, aviation, shipping, they get involved and they investigate to see what can be done differently to prevent those types of things from happening in the future. Okay, they don't get to set laws, but they set policy that they then try to get the federal government or state governments to enact to make things safer. So they come out every year with a list of ways that they think traffic can become safer. And here's some of the things that were interesting on the list to me. First were to eliminate distractions. Everybody knows with all the mobile devices that we have, that distractions are a big part of what causes accidents. In fact, I think we see with car accidents that we get more now from people texting than we do from drinking and driving. And so they recognize this, and some of these are no-brainers. You wonder why these haven't already been enacted into law. Like, for instance, they're pushing for a ban that requires all school bus drivers not to be able to use a cell phone while driving a school bus. I don't think anybody would argue with that.
No.
That needs to be a law in any place that it's not. Additionally, some of these are more are open to more debate. I don't think this one is. But Utah became the first state this year to require the law be a 0.05 blood alcohol limit in order for you to be impaired. They're calling for a 0.05 limit to be enacted by all the states, and so that'll be interesting to see which states follow that lead. I found this interesting. They also govern or also set policy on the railways of America, and there's something called positive train control, and evidently it's a engineering software program that can electronically control the speed of trains and prevent accidents. There were 2 accidents last year they cited where there was fatalities that they didn't have positive train control on the tracks. The interesting part to me is that Congress mandated that it be in effect by the end of this year, and according to their study, only 25% of passenger route in America has enacted that. And so, clearly they need to step up to the plate and get positive train control involved.
Wow.
So this one may be more controversial. Of course, we, from the accidents that we see, side on the side of safety, but they're calling for a speed limiting technology on all semi-trucks, motor carriers, and buses, where the highest posted speed limit in America would be the fastest the software would let that vehicle go. So that would be interesting to see what happens with that.
Right.
Interesting.
This is something that should happen as technology goes on and progresses, but is calling for vehicle manufacturers to make collision avoidance software standard on all new vehicles. You see it now on cars that can parallel park or alert you with a light if there's a car in your side view or rear view mirror, and so they're noting that that's helping to decrease the number of fatalities. So hopefully that's something we'll continue to see. Something that may affect some of our viewers is sleep apnea. They're noticing that there is a correlation between traffic fatalities and traffic accidents caused by people that are fatigued from sleep apnea. So they're calling for more stringent medical requirements for people diagnosed with this, including a lot of requirements for people that are driving semi-trucks that have sleep apnea. So that's interesting. All these are just ways that they're noting that the roadways can become safer. It's interesting to read. Additionally, just for people that are safety conscious out there, if you're driving with your family and kids, you may want to look at this. And if you identify something that you do, maybe you're bad about texting while you're driving, maybe you have sleep apnea, maybe speed. You can look at this, and it's just a reminder of ways you can improve upon safety.
Better practice.
Better practice. But that's something that the National Transportation Safety Board identified. Matt, what about some of the people that chimed in on Facebook?
Well, we had some people on Facebook reach out to us with some really, really good ideas. We had a suggestion from Matt, not me, Matt, another great guy with a great name, about discussing a GPS app that actually shuts off your phone's ability to text while you're driving. For instance, basically what happens is the app will detect how fast you're going, and if it's over a certain speed, then it prevents that phone from texting while it's going above that speed, unless you're able to indicate on the passenger or some other variable that might be in play. So obviously, apps are always a great way to start. You're on the phone, so why not start with technology on the phone? It obviously wouldn't be a law, but companies out there, can lead the way with that.
When my kids become driving age, I'd like to have that app.
100%. We've also got a discussion here from Megan about the highest level training requirements for semi-truck drivers should be added as part of requirements to look at what their requirements are, what they have to go through. I mean, whether it's the sleep apnea background, extra medical history background, prohibition on their cell phone usage. So many accidents that we see involve semi-trucks, and there's so many requirements and background checks that go into all that, kind of starting with the training requirements for them as a way of avoiding accidents on their end.
Yeah, absolutely. What we see back to, that's a good comment, and their recommendation that we have speed limiting devices on these semi-trucks. Oftentimes what we see, people I think are aware that federal law requires truck drivers to keep logbooks of where they were when they logged a particular place and how long it took them to get to the next place. It's common knowledge that lots of times there's two sets of logbooks. Logbooks that they show to investigating authorities and logbooks that they keep that are their actual logbooks. And oftentimes when we get both sets, we're able to see that after an accident, the amount of time it took them to get from point A to point B would be impossible if they had been going the speed limit. And so that makes sides in favor of having speed limiting technologies.
Right.
And Matt, I know you're going over there. Kathy is commenting. She said, "Will there ever be seatbelts on school buses?"
That's an interesting. Why is there not? That's an extremely interesting comment. Just because I'm not sure what the limitations are for that, what the practical reasoning is behind it, but you think it would make sense to have school buses equipped with seatbelts.
Right.
Absolutely.
Back to some of our Facebook posts responses. We had another Megan discuss the idea of going hands-free on your phone instead of just kind of some kind of a ban on texting or something. Around the states that have legislation that prevents texting while driving, there are kind of two types of states. Some have a texting ban and some have a hands-free ban because, what's texting, how do you define it? Are they actually texting? They're looking at GPS. So some states to avoid that just have a all-out hands-free ban so you can't be on your cell phone whatsoever. And that's certainly a policy discussion that I know many states have, and it's a decision that you have to decide between.
Yeah, and interestingly, on their most wanted list, they noted that hands-free or people talking with their device while holding it up, they found no distinction between the two. That both of them are dangerous, and that both should be banned.
Which would lean towards a ban on just handhelds.
Yeah.
We got another comment here from Tina, and this is actually extremely smart thinking. Automakers being required to make all new models so they can't power on without the seatbelt clicked in.
Okay.
So as part of the starting up of the car, the seatbelt has to be clicked in first. And that seems very doable. It certainly seems in line with some of the recommendations they've given to auto providers in that list.
Sure. And we have some people that should run for office here.
Exactly. All these are great ideas, and make your voice heard and reach out to your representatives, attend committee meetings, do whatever you need to do. These are some very good ideas.
Absolutely. Well, are there any other questions, any other comments there, Megan?
No other questions. You got people watching. Kathy had that question that you answered, but
Thanks,
but yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Stay safe on the roadways, and if you have any questions, anytime, feel free to contact us. Thank you, and have a good Tuesday.
Thanks, guys.